Back for our viewers to that SpaceX launch right there. We had seen that Starship SN10 prototype for the 10-kilometer test flight being held. And Heidi, we're finally seeing what's going to happen to that landing. Of course, the last two times we had that attempt, they didn't go very well. We had explosions in the last part of the landing. So we're now waiting to see how this descent is going to go along. This is the SN10 prototype being launched after those prior tests back in February and December were destroyed during landing.
45 seconds. We're down below 2 kilometers.
And what we're actually seeing is the Starship SN10 using now just a single Raptor engine to hover there just in the clouds. And of course, we've been looking for that belly flop maneuver as well before we get into the descent part, which, as Sherry mentioned, has been problematic in the last two attempts there. The timeline of this project is really key, though, because as we reported earlier, the Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa has already paid for a flight to go around the moon by 2023. In fact, he's actually inviting 8 members of the public. We are now seeing just those spectacular pictures of that descent there as well. And of course, Sherry, you know, we talk about this as just being incredibly impressive from a visual, from just a humanity point of view, but this is very much still a commercial proposition for SpaceX and for Elon Musk, for his ambitions to get people to the moon, to get people to space, the broader kind of space tourism industry just being so exciting to watch at the moment. We have just seen those live pictures there as we continue to see what does look like the landing, which was a little bit problematic last time, but we are seeing what appears to be a successful landing there at the minute.
Yeah, in Texas after that test flight. But as you said, Mr. Musk really being able to push forward his business, successful launch business so far. We have seen, and of course, sending cargoes to the International Space Station. They've also taken NASA astronauts there twice in 2020 alone. And now, after several attempts and also a failed attempt earlier today when they had to abort another launch of the Starship because of an apparent issue with one of the engines, they finally landed the Starship SN10 in Texas after that test flight, and of course after a couple of failures in the past, both in February and December, when we saw that that was a tricky maneuver, right? The landing process, holding the landing propellant, reorienting itself for re-entry, a controlled aerodynamic descent, as they put it, and those attempts had ended in explosions. It seems we finally managed to really land that in Texas, the prototype, after that 10-kilometer test flight, Heidi.
Yeah, that's right. And this is, I should point out, the first time that they've managed to land the Starship prototype after a high-altitude flight test as well, which is really key. The company has previously successfully landed previous prototypes, but those were for short flights that only got to about 500 feet in altitude. So SpaceX also confirming, third time lucky, as you can see there, the successful, peaceful landing of the SpaceX SN10 rocket there. Well, plenty more to come.